Just look at what's happening here. Gold is up, silver is up. Stocks are getting ready for tomorrow as the market is not open today. Crypto is taking a hit. And as we can see, stocks fall after Trump's tariff threats and gold receives the safety bid. It's 2026 and it looks like the global financial reset is underway. Global stocks dropped and the dollar eased against the safe haven yen and Swiss franc on Monday after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened additional tariffs on goods imported from European nations that oppose his planned takeover of Greenland. Gold and silver prices jumped to new record peaks, while oil dipped on concerns about what a possible trade war between the U.S. and Europe could mean for global growth and demand. There are very important implications to all of this, and we're going to talk about it here. The next thing we have to talk about is this: the EU eyes tariffs on 93 billion euros worth of U.S. goods over this Trump tariff threat. The European Union is in talks to potentially impose tariffs on 93 billion euros of U.S. goods if President Donald Trump follows through on his threat to hit European countries with a 10% levy on February 1st. And the EU is also weighing additional countermeasures beyond the tariffs, but will first try to find a diplomatic solution. So we have a potential tariff war on the verge of taking place here in 2026, literally pushing us closer and closer to this global financial reset. Now, Trump says he will quickly replace tariffs after court action, according to the New York Times. Now, look at this because this is very interesting. The Trump administration would enact new tariffs almost immediately if the Supreme Court struck down sweeping global tariffs the president launched under an emergency law. Now, the Supreme Court could rule on the tariffs in the coming weeks and possibly as early as Tuesday, but the Trump administration said they would start the next day. If the Supreme Court ruled on it, they would start the next day to replace the tariffs with other levies. So it seems like Greenland is a very important topic here, and the Trump administration is not going to let Greenland go. As we've heard before, Trump stated that Greenland is important for national security. He's thrown out the China threats. He's thrown out the Russia threats. We all know that Greenland has massive natural resources. We all know that there's strategic implications as far as how Greenland is placed, its geography. So let's get into this. Trump tells Norway's PM he no longer feels an obligation to think purely of peace after not receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. Look at this letter that was sent out. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect that land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right of ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago. But we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. So things are going to get wild, especially since the World Economic Forum is having their yearly Davos event. And Trump is going to be meeting with global CEOs in Davos. And it's going to get real because once Trump meets with these individuals, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be said. There's going to be a lot of ideas thrown around, and we already know that Greenland is going to be one of them. But when we turn the tide and we look at things that are happening on the outside, right? We look from the outside in, we see here that India's central bank, these central banks are gearing up for this global financial reset as they're planning to link CBDCs among all BRICS nations ahead of their 2026 BRICS summit. And we have China here leading the cross-border digital currency surge as their digital currency has now surged to over $55 billion in transactions. And this is the latest sign that efforts to build alternatives to dollar-dependent global payment systems are gaining traction. The world is changing right before our very eyes. Data crunched by the Washington-based Atlantic Council showed the prototype mBridge, which most people do not know about. Most people don't have any inclination of mBridge, what it is, what it does, why China is pushing forward with this digital currency. But I digress, which is being tested by central banks in China, Hong Kong, Thailand, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia have now processed more than 4,000 cross-border transactions. This is going to be the future of money. This is going to be the future of how payments are processed. And this is what's going to lead us into this global financial reset, the changing of the old guard into the new guard, the old financial system into the new financial system. And guess what else is getting ready to change? The stock market. NYSE, Parent Intercontinental Exchange, develops a platform for 24/7 tokenized securities trading. It's all about tokenization in this new day and age. And we're in 2026 now, and this is going to push us closer to that global financial reset as well. ICE Intercontinental Exchange said on Monday that it had developed a platform for trading and on-chain settlement of tokenized securities in a move to capitalize on global demand for U.S. equities. NYSE's new digital platform, for which it will seek regulatory approvals, will enable 24/7 operations. Can you think about what that's going to do for the market? Instant settlement. Can you think about what that's going to do for the market? Orders sized in dollar amounts, and stablecoin based funding. So they're just moving toward the blockchain way. Investor appetite for non-stop trading in U.S. stocks has spiked in recent years. You know why? Because crypto doesn't sleep. The technology is out there for the markets to be 24/7. And this has prompted regulators to introduce new rules and approve proposals from major exchanges to enable trading beyond normal market hours. Think about the implications here. Think about how the world is going to change. The markets are going to change. Society is going to change. This is the reset. Intercontinental Exchange's move also underscores how traditional market operators, are testing blockchain-based infrastructure to ease long-standing frictions in equity markets. Look at this quote from Campbell Harvey, a professor of finance at Duke University. Tokenization is not a fad. Look at this. It is a technology that solves problems, and there's a long list of possibilities it opens up. Tokenized stocks are probably the lowest hanging fruit, he said. Lowest hanging fruit of all of it. And we see everything that's happening right before our very eyes. Things are moving rapidly. Things are changing rapidly. The times are changing rapidly. And we are seeing that we are moving towards this global financial reset.